We continue learning Hachzek Musar Yomi Rabbeinu Yoina on Perek Avos. We begin the third Perek of Perek Avos, in which the first Mishnah begins. Akava ben Mahalalel Oimer says Akavia ben Mahalalel, and anyone who's ever been to Levaya has heard this countless times. His takel b'shleisha dvarim. One should look at three things. Ve'ein atabli de'avir, and he will not come to sin. What are these things that one should contemplate? Da me ayin basa, know from where you came from. Says Rabbeinu Yoina, and at the moment that you think about from where you came from, it makes you humble, and it saves you from the terrible midah of gaiva, which we learned extensively about in our previous Moser Sfarim. Shenemar ba toyavas Hashem called kvalif. Anyone who's bal gaiva, anyone who's too proud, is a toyeva, is an abomination to Hashem. And number two, what should you contemplate? To where are you going? Says Rabbeinu Yoina, you know where you're going, quoting the Mishnah. Not quoting the Mishnah, but Rabbeinu Yoina explains, to place of dust, worms, and maggots. When you think where you are going, all of a sudden, all the worldly pleasures and delights are not that desirous. Because what are you toiling for? What's the end result? The end result is maggots and filth. All money, all honor, is a vizayin in your eyes. And all goodness becomes not something that you necessarily want. Quoting Koheles, everything is hevel, everything is vanity, futility, rusruach, and nothingness. All you need to ask Shem HaMelech. And now we quote the whole pasuk that Shem HaMelech has taught us, Alav Shalom, Sefer Koheles V'Ischel, when he begins Sefer to Koheles, hevel havolim amar Koheles. Hevel havolim, vanity of vanities, it says Koheles, ahavil kol teva v'chol yakar, describing all the futilities, describing how futile all the pleasures and earthly acquisitions are. After Koheles and after Shem HaMelech describes everything as such, he concludes, V'amar, Soif hadavar hakol nishma. What's the end of it all? As alakim yira. We have to fear Hashem as mitzvahs of Shemar, and we have to perform his mitzvahs. Why? Kizeh, because this, Kol Adam, is the purpose of all men. And you have to know before whom will you give a din v'cheshbon. Shenevrayim lenevrau, because all human beings were not created ach liyaris Hashem yisbarach, only to fear Hashem. How can you do an aveira? What if you're in the middle of thinking for whom you have to give a din v'cheshbon v'viter al paraniyos, and even worse than the punishments v'anisayon and all the trials she'eloi al chatav that you're going to have for all your sins. Ki yitbayesh is the terrible busha boishes kadal she'in kamayu that one will endure for all the aveiros that he did. And says Rabbeinu Yoina, vividly depicting that which he just said, Mashal HaMelech, this is comparable to a king. Shenichnas adam lefanav, that what a person enters the king's presence, imseu miriva b'maisav v'mishakar dvarav. If the king realizes you cheated or you lied, it's a terrible embarrassment. And similarly, furthermore, the busha of the neshama of the soul, when it leaves the body. That terrible embarrassment is even worse than the embarrassment, the busha that is while the neshama is in the body. Because the way we are as human beings is we are forgetful. If you're to commit some despicable act, and you feel ashamed in the adam for a year or two, but eventually the matter is forgotten and you're no longer embarrassed, you're no longer filled with busha in front of man. And even if it doesn't really leave your heart, but eventually it fades away, and it slowly minimizes, because the nature of forgetfulness of the human condition gets mixed with the nature of the soul. If you can't fully forget it, you'll put it out of mind. Which will minimize the terrible embarrassment. But when the soul is by itself, when the neshama leaves the body, there's no longer anything as forgetfulness. Kikula barav is because everything is clear and everything is perfect. And at that moment, there's no longer any physicality. And therefore, when the neshama has embarrassment, has this horrible busha in front of Hashem, le'olam, it's a busha that's forever. Like that moment, just like at that terrible moment of busha that stands forever and never minimizes, and it's for eternity, as we know that there is no time. Once the neshama leaves the body, it's forever and ever. This is what the Gemara Babasir teaches us. Therefore, if we put these things in our heart, we'll slowly be able to save ourselves from sin.